Hey nerds, it's Maddie, and boy, do we have an exciting one for you today. The space race is back in full effect as NASA sharpens its missions to match with the United States' new national space policy. So that's right, space is going to be competitive again, this time with more tech, moon bases, and nuclear-powered Mars missions. And speaking of the moon, Artemis II might finally be ready to launch, and multiple meteors have been reported across the world in just the last couple of weeks. So where are they all coming from? We're going to go over all of this, and finally, we'll go through some of my highlights from the JFK Space Center's visitor complex. We'll be talking about the amazing engineering behind NASA's Crawlerway, the road designed to carry the crawler. And we'll go through my absolute favorite part of the visitor center, the Gateway building. You're tuned in to Maddie Adams. Let's learn together. So first, we have NASA, I think, is finally ready to launch Artemis II. There have been at least 3 real delays where the astronauts were in quarantine and had to come out, and at least 5 other delays that I can think of. They say they're ready now, so let's hope that it's going to go. NASA says the upcoming Artemis II launch to send 4 astronauts around the moon from the Kennedy Space Center is on track for next week after a helium flow issue caused a delay, and I covered that a few weeks back. NASA leaders outlined the agency's plan for a future moon base, so that's really interesting. Let's listen to Jared Isaacman for a second here.
Moon base will not appear overnight. We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards...
So immediately that's interesting to me that he says dozens of missions, because just a little while ago, Artemis was a 4-part mission. Now it's already a 5-part mission, and now he's saying dozens. So I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of changes coming soon, and that we're going to be seeing more missions get added to it.
It's a deliberate and achievable plan.
Artemis II, to send a crew of astronauts around the moon, is set to launch next week.
This is the time-lapse rollout. On BBC's website, they have a nice little time-lapse of the rollout happening again. But again, we already actually just got to see that last time before it was
Jared
delayed.
Isaacman, a billionaire entrepreneur and commercial astronaut who became NASA administrator late last year, says the Artemis IV mission to send astronauts to the lunar surface is targeted for early 2028. Then comes Artemis V to move towards setting up a lunar base. NASA says it's pivoting from its Gateway program architecture in orbiting lunar outposts.
And so this is all very interesting. You know, if you've been following my channel, like a year ago, I made a video kind of pleading with Elon that, hey, we need to go to the moon first. Elon was first very interested in just kind of skipping the moon and going straight to Mars. Now he seems to sort of be aligned with what all of us have been saying. And he's talking with the government, working with the government, and it seems like they're actually sort of aligned in this mission together, which is very interesting. So this is from NASA. This is the old timeline versus the new timeline. And like I said, I'm sure that this is due to change, as it always does. But you can pause and kind of read this. Like I said, we're now, and there's actually an Artemis V mission that's added on to here too, as Jared Isaacman was just saying. So here's just some cool images of the Orion capsule on top of the SLS rocket. Just some cool different images from X. This is the time-lapse rollout on the camera inside the VAB. It's just super cool how the crawler takes it out from there. So, like I said, this is really interesting. This is actually from NASA. 1 year into the president's second term, NASA is delivering, let me just move my camera over here. NASA is delivering measurable progress across human spaceflight science, aeronautics, and cutting-edge technology. These advances mark the beginning of a new golden age of American space leadership driven by clear national direction and historic investment through the Working Families Tax Cut Act. Now, this is interesting because, you know, in the past, I've always talked about, like, what does it take to get funding for outer space? And a lot of times it's public interest, but, you know, guess what? If the president says that it's a national security interest, it's also going to happen. So his enduring commitment to space exploration has shaped every aspect. During his first term, he stood up the U.S. Space Force, commenced the Artemis campaign, established the Artemis Accords, which now have 60 signatories and are still growing, and returned American astronauts to human spaceflight from U.S. soil. Just an interesting read if you want to read that, but I just thought it was interesting that NASA actually wrote this. But the Artemis mission now plans on kind of going further than the moon, and I don't know if they'll actually consider this part of the Artemis mission or if it will be a separate mission, but you know, it's all kind of part of the same larger national space plan here for the United States. So in a significant NASA announcement, Administrator Jared Isaacman and agency leaders outlined plans for a nuclear-powered mission to Mars within the next 2 years. And if we know anything about NASA, that means 5 years. But the project involves reallocating existing Lunar Gateway hardware to demonstrate highly efficient mass transport in space, with spacecraft carrying multiple Ingenuity-class helicopters, which I thought was really cool, because the Ingenuity copter that we already had on the Red Planet lasted way longer than we thought, way overperformed, so I guess they plan on packing multiple on the next trip out there. So the mission, called Space Reactor-1 Freedom, SR-1 Freedom, is set to launch in December 2028. It's going to showcase the use of nuclear fission in space to power electric thrusters. So it's been around for a while, but it's lacked drive, purpose, destination, and leadership until now. So NASA's Program Executive of Fission Surface Power, Steve Sinecor, summarized the objective clearly: demonstrate nuclear electric propulsion. NASA plans to launch during the upcoming Mars transfer window. And like I said, so keep in mind, yeah, if we do miss that December 2028 window, we have to wait until Mars comes back around and hits another transfer window. So it's the same thing with the moon, only the moon's windows come around way more often. And then finally, so to our final event. This is really interesting. And actually, right when I got home, I was kind of arguing with someone on Facebook about this because, of course, I saw an article claiming to know for sure that all of these meteors came from 3I Atlas, which is honestly just kind of a silly conclusion to make. Is it possible? Sure, within a very, very tiny percentage. But really, we don't know for sure. NASA said that maybe it came from Vesta, but they really think it came from just an asteroid in the asteroid belt. But I'm going to tell you what I told that guy on Facebook. There is just a lot of stuff floating around in outer space. Sometimes that stuff makes it back down to Earth. And I'll go over some of these really interesting meteorite falls of the last 2 centuries that Dan Green wrote. But just suffice to say, they happen all the time, all right? We have a lot more cameras and stuff like that now, which this article points out. But what may seem like an unusually large number of meteor sightings and fireballs have been reported across the U.S. over the last few days. So on March 17th, there was a 7-ton meteor that flew across the skies over northeast Ohio at 45,000 miles per hour. It was spotted as far away as Maryland, and NASA confirmed it was a meteor nearly 6 feet in diameter. And this is an image via the AP. This is showing it in the sky of Pittsburgh. And then on March 21st, a bright fireball over Houston spread debris over the area. Witnessed at 4:40 p.m., NASA said it moved southeast at 35,000 miles per hour. And this is another image of the Ohio one from a doorbell cam. And finally, on March 23rd, another meteor passed over California, Arizona, and Nevada. And I also actually heard about one in Europe, too, but I don't have that researched and added. But you guys can check that one out, too. I believe there is also one spotted somewhere over Europe. So over 200 eyewitnesses filed reports with the American Meteor Society. So NASA says that these fireballs are unrelated and not a meteor shower. So according to NASA, none of these meteors are related. There currently is no ongoing meteor shower, and they've all come from different directions. Large fireballs typically fall somewhere on Earth about once a day, while smaller pieces of space dust might fall 10 times an hour. But like they said, the increase in cameras, phones, security cameras has led to an increase in visibility, just like the increase in ground-based telescopes and technology has allowed us to just discover way more comets and minor planets in general, right? So now we're seeing them. There's dozens of videos popping up all the time. NASA does have some systems in place, but like I said, this is 17 cameras compared to the millions of cameras that people have around the world. The next meteor shower is the Lyrids, and this will run from April 14th to April 30th, peaking on April 21st to 22nd. But I just wanted to nip this in the bud. If you see anybody on the internet just saying, oh, this is from 3i Atlas, just tell them to chill the heck out, and it's almost definitely not. Okay, people like to be extreme and excitable and whatever, but you know, the truth of the matter is, like I said, if you look at these, below are more than 100 selected meteorite falls that are notable for striking people, animals, or even man-made structures, for large amounts of weights or mass, or great numbers of meteorites recovered from single falls, or for notable scientific reasons. Okay, so this is Dan Green just cataloged all of these, came up with what he decided based on those criteria are, you know, important meteorite falls. And I mean, look at these. You have multiple in 2023, multiple in 2022, multiple in 2020. Every year there are multiple of them, and these are ones that more or less hit people or buildings or were unordinarily large, right? And he also notes up here that the Tunguska blast, the most documented injuries from a single meteorite fall appear to be those caused by the Chelyabinsk firefall in 2013, where over 1,000 people, this was over Siberia, were apparently injured by falling broken glass from buildings caused by the shockwave of the fireball. But just to reiterate that this is pretty common, right? It seems like every once in a while, you know, a space story makes it to mainstream media and people act like it's just something that doesn't happen that often. But if you pay attention to this stuff, you know it does. So let's listen to Dr. Bill Cook here from NASA's Johnson Space Center.
I don't think we know where that small asteroid that came in over Cleveland on St. Patrick's Day came from. So based on a recent orbit.
And by the way, I just love this guy's voice. I don't know if you guys do, but I love his voice and his smile, the way he presents everything.
And based on the meteorites people are beginning to find, it looks like that 7-ton rock came from the inner asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter.
So NASA provides some resources for people who want to hunt for meteorites. We produce.
Yeah, and like I said, if you're ever unsure of this stuff, you know, people always like to kind of just question me online or say that I'm a shill or whatever, which I'm really not. I actually question the government quite a bit. But the thing is, they give you all the tools to double check their stuff online, you know, and a lot of times when I question stuff, I go and I double check it and I don't find discrepancies. You know, sometimes people do just want to be mad just to be mad, especially on the internet. So
use a web page here called Meteorite Falls. We produce what's called a.
Yeah, so make sure to check this out if you want to. They'll show the strewn field here, which is like the area where it's likely for parts of its land.
Strewn field, which is a map of where all the meteorites lie on the ground. They can be anywhere. They could be alongside a road. They can be on top of a building. They can be in a field. When you find these things, you're looking for something glossy, shiny.
Oh, and by the way, if you find a piece of meteorite, don't tell anybody. They sell for about $100 a gram. If you need the money. Like I said, I'll link all of these articles, so if you really want to read through some of these interesting meteorite falls over the last 2 centuries, I will give them to you. So now let's move on to this part of the video. If you watched my full tour of the Kennedy Space Center, I fast forwarded through most of the bus tour. So this part of the tour I fast forwarded through, but I just thought this was actually like the most interesting tidbit of information that I got when I was there, because so I did a quick short about these crawler transporters, which are the most massive ground vehicles on the planet and the largest treaded vehicles on the planet. These are what carry the rockets from the vehicle assembly building to the launch pad, okay? They are just absolute behemoths. They travel at 1 mile per hour. But one thing that I really didn't think about is the road. The road that this thing has to drive on has to be able to support its insane weight of approximately 6.6 million pounds plus whatever rocket it's holding. All right, so that's about the weight of 1,000 pickup trucks. So they had to specially design a road for this. And here you will hear the bus tour and them talking about it.
The seat. Feel free to buckle up, safety is well.
This was such an awesome tour, by the way. The bus is loaded up real quick. Lines were not bad.
We are good to go.
It's leaving LC-39.
And you can see Crawler Road actually right up here. I believe it's this. It's covered in river rock.
For dreaming big, and big dreams require big equipment. I'm standing next to the Crawler Transporter, the largest self-powered land vehicle in the world. It was originally built in 1965 for the Apollo program, and has since been updated to accommodate the space shuttle and now NASA's SLS rocket. Weighing in at 6 million pounds and capable of lifting and hauling 18 million pounds, the Crawler is an engineering marvel, even without a rocket sitting on top of it. This thing has 2,750 horsepower, V16 diesel engines that can carry the Crawler up to a top speed of, wait for it,
1 mile an hour.
per hour while carrying the rocket. Keep an eye out for the Crawler as we approach this area. And remember, we are visiting a working spaceport, so while the Crawler may not stay in one area for very long, it's bound to be out here somewhere. Now,
Yeah, and that was one of the coolest things about touring the Kennedy Space Center is, like they said, it is an active spaceport. So while the visitor center itself functions sort of as a museum, once you get out on a bus tour, everything that you see will be unique on your tour, right? Like if you're there right now, you're going to see the SLS rocket with the Orion capsule out on that launch pad. I didn't see it when I was there because it was in the vehicle assembly building getting fixed. They're going to be bringing another Falcon 9 there soon, so you may see that getting loaded up, right? There's always active stuff going on this base, and so that's kind of the coolest thing is like if you visit multiple times, you're not going to get the same experience. And if you do go and visit, you're not going to get the same experience that I did.
let me introduce you to my friend John Giles, the Crawler project manager.
I'm standing in front of Crawler Transporter number 2 at Kennedy Space Center. Crawler Transporter 2 is used for the SLS program to take the launch vehicle back and forth to the pad. To move the rocket from the vehicle assembly building, or the VAB as we call it, to the launch pad, the certified operator carefully maneuvers the crawler underneath the mobile launcher where the SLS is
So certified operator, I'm imagining you can't just have your CDL to drive that thing, man. You've got to be one of the best heavy equipment operators probably in the country, and you're going to get that call.
stacked. We then pick up the mobile launcher and the SLS rocket together and slowly, very slowly, carry it to the launch pad. It's a 4.2-mile trip that takes 7 to 8 hours. We'll roll over a specifically prepared crawlerway that consists of river rock.
Yeah, so this is the part I was talking about that was really interesting is the crawlerway. So just listen here. So the top of it is river rock, and then
Anywhere from 8 to 12 inches thick. Below that is limestone that's 4 to 5 feet thick that is hydraulically compressed. And then below that is another 20 to 30 feet of sand, which supports the weight of the crawler and the mobile launcher as we roll over top of it. Once we're at the launch pad, we drop off the...
And he didn't mention this in this, but after they built that road to test it, they put a bunch of weights in semi-trucks and drove semi-trucks back and forth to kind of settle it and compress it and also to test it.
mobile launcher and the SLS rocket. And after the launch, we come back, pick up the mobile launcher with the crawler again, and bring it back to the VAB. Then we'll repeat this process for the next Artemis mission.
So I just thought that that was interesting. I never thought about the road, right? The road that they used.
All right.
So like I said, that part wasn't in my full tour. This part is, and it's towards the end. And like I said, if you haven't seen my full tour, I would really recommend checking it out. There's a lot of really awesome stuff to see. I do the whole bus tour, but this is the Gateway building. Go ahead.
Thank you.
So we open doors for people around here, unlike some folks. Very early on in the tour, somebody didn't hold a door open for me and kind of slammed it on me. So the whole tour, I'm like holding doors open for people and talking about the courtesy of opening doors for people. So let me know, what do you think? Should you always hold a door open for someone if they're right behind you? And I'm not talking about holding it open for them. I just mean keeping it open so that it doesn't slam in their face if they're 3 feet behind you. Is that a common courtesy that we should all have, or was I being a bit too much?
Welcome.
I thought these were like, would change if you touched them, but no. It's the Orion capsule.
Wow. Alright, here we go.
Yeah, so this entire building
There's
was...
another food place in here, the Space Bowl Bistro.
This entire building was launch capsules, and it looked like it was from like different companies, so kind of a showcase of private and public space. So you had like the Orion capsule, you had some SpaceX and some Blue Origin, I think, but we'll take a look again.
This is the SLS upper stage.
Here's the upper stage of the SLS rocket, awesome little touch screen.
Your mission. The Life Habitat launches on a conventional rocket and expands to the size of a 3-story building on orbit. Developed and tested to meet NASA micrometeoroid impact requirements. Applications in low Earth orbit, deep space transport, and surface habitation on the Moon and Mars. Cargo Dragon. First commercial spacecraft to deliver cargo to and from the ISS. The COTS 2 mission Cargo Dragon launched on SpaceX.
Yeah, and so for you younger people, you know, we didn't used to use SpaceX to help out with NASA. NASA was always completely government funded, and, you know, private industry wasn't really involved with it. Like I said, in May 2012, the Cargo Dragon 2, or the Cargo Dragon, was the first commercial spacecraft to deliver cargo to and from the ISS. So, you know, the working of private and public space, I really do think is what's driving this so much, right? And why the new space race is really working out and coming to fruition like this, right? Because I think if it was just government funding, you'd have so much more pushback from the public. But where the public pushes back, now the private sector can make up and say, you know what, the public doesn't want to fund that. Cool, I do. I'm a billionaire. I mean, I'm not, but, you know, you get the idea. One day.
This Falcon 9 rocket at Cape Canaveral. Hey! December 2020, SpaceX unveiled the redesigned Cargo Dragon 2 spacecraft in the CRS-21 mission to resupply the ISS. The Dragon 2 version uses smaller Draco thrusters, requiring less fuel and providing more cargo room. It remains the only spaceship capable of returning experiments and materials from low Earth orbits to the Moon.
It's kind of crazy that a SpaceX capsule is still the only vehicle capable of doing that.
Jared Isaacman.
He was flying his biplane around over the Space Center the day I was there. So obviously we've got the Boeing Starliner on the right. Oh yeah, look at this.
Just to give you a view of the scale here. I'm gonna go up a little higher here in a second.
And when you get onto the second floor here, I should have asked the guy to explain for the camera how the simulators work. So he didn't want to explain to me.
Really awesome kind of just displays and graphics that they have going on here. And here we kind of have a mixture of, it looks like, all the different private space companies. So we've got some Blue Origin, some Boeing, SpaceX, some of their different contributions to the space game.
There's the Space Shuttle Atlantis, I believe, or Discovery.
Good old shuttle.
Challenger. I know, 2 out of 3 chance and got both of them wrong.
To explore the solar system. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna turn around, hurt you, never gonna make you cry. That's cool. So as you move over stuff, it highlights it and tells you what it is.
If I wasn't recording this for you guys, I probably would have hung out here for quite a while. Just, you can tell I was having fun with that.
Everyone's favorite, the pillars of creation. Get the JWST versus Hubble comparison. That's something like that at the Adler Planetarium too, or no, at the Henry Crown Space Center in the Museum of Science and Industry. Choose your journey. I guess these are different movies that are playing, probably.
This is the simulator, by the way.
This is the spaceport. So yeah.
So I kind of had no idea what I was doing here. This guy didn't really explain much to me, but then he explains it to the group who came after me. But I ended up going into the portion of the simulator that doesn't have motion, just to kind of get a little view of it for you guys. And that's right here.
Just as they are. But did you know, like us, stars are born and die? Star life cycles are responsible for some of the most stunning sights in our universe. And today we'll traverse thousands
All right.
of years to see them firsthand.
Emergency exit only. Ooh, should we check out the roof access? Kidding.
I really should have checked out the roof access for you guys. I don't know what I was thinking.
A nice view of the whole building from here. Nice.
Oh, and by the way, something else fun that I found out from Jan Davis. Do you know the difference between a space shuttle and a rocket? Leave your answer down in the comments.
And then the simulators. Go ahead.
So yeah, there you go. That was just some of the highlights there from my Kennedy Space Center tour. Like I said, it was really fun. I think it was definitely worth the money. I personally had more fun there than I would have at a theme park or something like that. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the US government and NASA and kind of their whole new Artemis timeline, our new space mission, or space-based Moonbase Alpha, the nuclear propulsion that we're working on to get to Mars, just all kinds of new stuff. And then let me know what you think about these meteors, where you think they might be coming from, if you heard or saw any of them. If you heard or saw any of them, or if you got any cool pictures or videos, definitely send them to me. Let me know.
If it's broken open, the inside of it is kind of a light gray color. And keep them in something soft. You don't want to handle them too much. The meteorite won't hurt you, but the more you handle it, the more you're getting like oils from your fingers and dirt on it. Take pictures of the place where it's found for record keeping purposes, for your own memories, and yeah, enjoy it.
So there you go. I said thank you very much for everybody for joining today. Make sure you check out that full tour of the Kennedy Space Center. Let me know what you want to hear about next in news. Let me know what you want to see me simulate next. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.